And we're live. It's Wednesday afternoon. It's 2:30 p.m. It's a beautiful day here in Stockholm, Sweden. Donny, your host for your Innovation Fika, your Innovation Coffee Break, your Wednesday afternoon enjoyment, where I get to speak to really cool people about some really cool ideas and sometimes some really cool tech as well. Today I have, again, an incredible guest for you, of course. But first, some information about me and who I am, what I do. Make sure to follow me on Donny Ligonis here on LinkedIn and on Instagram. As you know, I post daily, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, on innovation, startups, entrepreneurship, usually on a theme. This week's theme being Earth Day tomorrow. So it's Earth Week. So this whole week is all about climate change and working towards combating that. So follow me on the different social media channels and also subscribe to my newsletter. Go to innovationfika.com and subscribe to the newsletter. I send out a newsletter every week where you get the link to past week's recording, which is saved on YouTube, the coming week's theme and link to sign up for that event, and also some more information and a post from the previous week. So make sure to sign up for my newsletter, follow me on social media, and that's enough about me, because today we are speaking to a very prominent guest. And welcome in from backstage into the studio, we have Karin Ruiz.
Thank you, Donny. It's so great to be here, and I can just assure you how fantastic it is with your Monday morning wake-up calls and the Wednesday afternoon fika. We all need this at this point of time, I can assure you. So thank you so much for inviting me.
But thank you for being a part, and thank you so much for saying that. You have no idea how much it means to me to hear that. I mean, actually, to say, the Monday morning greetings, it started as a crazy idea. I just had a Monday in December when it was all dark, and I thought, I need to get going for this Monday morning. And then it's just continued, and it's turned into something which obviously people appreciate. So thank you so much for saying so. Anyway, Karin, welcome to the show. We have a coffee break together. Let's start by talking about you. I will actually add your name here as well. There we go. Karin Ruiz, climate champion and sustainability coach. Tell us a bit about yourself. Who are you, for everybody who might not know who you are?
Well, so I'm Karin, and I work at Sting. Sting is a business accelerator, business incubator here in Stockholm, as I think most of you are who are listening in here are aware of. And at Sting, I work almost only with what we call impact companies and in the sustain tech space, but also a bit on ed tech and health, but all of them kind of being in the impact space. And that is, I think, what we are going to spend most of the time talking about here today. And I mean, I have a background myself as an entrepreneur, been involved in various startups, but I also have a background from the investment side and also from big corporates. And I've been working quite a lot internationally in Africa and Asia. So I bring that experience as well, which is also relevant in the context that we are talking about here today.
Oh, we are. I know that many of the teams that have had you and have you as a coach and mentor also draw on that wide and long experience you have. I mean, so it's they're very fortunate to have you at Sting, I'd say, and the teams that you coach. I mean, some of the teams I have had here at KTH Innovation has continued on to Sting into your very generous hands as well. I know that Klimato, one of if we're talking about climate impact startups.
Yep.
Klimato started here as a team of students, and then they went on to Sting and worked with you. And now I saw something in the paper just last week about them. They're doing quite well now. It's cool to see.
They are doing quite well. They just closed an investment round and got Almi Invest Green Tech on board. I think that's a great milestone for them. It's an amazing team and an amazing company. I just loved working with them.
Well, yeah, I mean, I likewise. And to everybody out there listening to us, post questions and comments and just whatever you want here. Just keep get the interaction going. Thanks Kate, for saying hi. Hello Kate. Wonderful to see you here as well today. Anyway, Klimato, by the way, we can mention them as a first example of an impact startup, if we call them that. They make climate. Help me out here. What is that actually called? They.
I mean, they or they calculate and then communicate the carbon footprint of meals at restaurants. I mean, to put it briefly, and so basically reducing carbon one meal at a time, I think, is their tagline. So yeah.
I actually interviewed them for an Innovation Fika this autumn, so there is actually a recording with them on YouTube. It's just I couldn't remember what it was actually called, but they're creating it like a climate index for meals, so you'll be able to see when you go to a restaurant. Well, you can see today when you go to a restaurant, you can see which meal is actually the best and worst meal to eat for climate impact. And I know that some restaurants have also started sorting their menus in a way, so at the top is the most climate friendly meal, and at the bottom is the least climate friendly meal. Usually red meat is at the bottom, usually. And they've shown incredible results, these restaurants. They've lowered their carbon footprint like with 20-25% just by sort of reorganizing the menus and showing people what is a better thing to buy. It's an amazing, I think that's what I love about Klimato is it sounds such an easy thing, but they've spent so much time getting it right. But it's those kind of nudges that help us make the right kind of decisions every day that will help us as well contribute to doing our part.
Absolutely, and there are so many good examples out there, and it's of startups that are really contributing to driving this change and to nudging us in the right direction. And I mean, ultimately, it's about delivering value, of course. So.
You've started something big together with Norrsken, which is a big social impact co-working space and a foundation as well, called Startup Climate Action, right?
Yes, that's correct.
What is Startup Climate Action?
It's an initiative that we launched last year. Actually, it's been running since we launched it in June, but we actually started working on it like 6 months earlier. And I mean, we've been collaborating with Norrsken, and then we decided we need to do something together. And we had this idea of really addressing one of the global goals, the Sustainable Development Goals. And then we were discussing, which one should we start focusing on? And for various reasons, we decided on SDG 13, climate action. I think one contributing factor actually was, maybe you have heard Johan Rockström's winter speech last year. And he was talking about the year of truth, 2020. I think 2020 probably became the year of truth in many ways, but that's kind of that what really spurred us, let's do something. And we had this great plan ahead of us, and then came Corona, which kind of turned everything upside down, and we completely reworked the approach and came up with what then turned out to be Startup Climate Action. And what is it? I mean, we talked, I know you and I, we share the idea of, tech and entrepreneurship and innovation to really drive solutions to tackle the really big problems in the world. And to having, taking this kind of a challenge or needs-based approach. So that's what we wanted to do with Startup Climate Action. And when Corona came, we kind of, wow, now we have to go digital. We cannot do it in the physical way as we had planned. So that's when we started kind of just brainstorming together, what do we do now? And we came up with this idea, it's SDG 13, climate action, and say, okay, let's see if we can define 13 climate challenges, which is quite a few, I would say, and I don't think we really realized the task we took on ourselves. And then we said, well, how do we really create attention for these 13 climate challenges, and how do we best define them? And we started approaching, I would say, now you have stated me as a climate champion here, but like real climate champions maybe are the ones that are super knowledgeable in their respective areas. And we got an incredible response from what we call a number of climate champions, professors, leaders in the business world, and so on, that came on board as climate champions. And we launched this initiative, which was like a 4-step process. We started off with an open innovation challenge, and I think the response was just overwhelming. We got like more than 1,000 people to engage on the platform in creating more than 200 new climate innovation ideas. And then we selected a number of those, I think around 50, that moved on to the deep dive phase. And from the deep dive phase, where they got some support and we arranged some boot camps and so on, all, to help stimulate and encourage and giving like tools to move their ideas forward. Then we were running a test drive program, which is a kind of a pre-incubator with 20 teams. And right now, as the last step in the Startup Climate Action Initiative, we are running a climate action accelerator within Sting, where we have 7 amazing companies. So, I mean, I guess it was or is an idea or an approach to see, can we really, work out a challenge-driven process to get more startups working to find solutions to climate change.
I mean, I think it's an incredible initiative. And I mean, as I said, and I've written here as well, go to startupclimateaction.com for more information for anybody who's interested. And it's definitely worth checking out, because I think that you've done an incredible job. But I will contradict you on one thing. Because I will keep calling you a climate champion, because in my world, innovation is about thinking new and also doing new. And I think that you embody the doing part of it as well. So, we don't get anywhere without doing stuff. So, and that's
absolutely.
So I'll give you definitely all the credit for that. We're actually getting some questions in here. Jenny, my guest from a couple of weeks ago. Wonderful. Good to see you online. What's the most important thing an impact startup has to think about in order to succeed? Aha. What do you say to that?
Oh, wow. I mean, there's so many things to think about. But I think one very important thing is to stay true to your mission and stay true to your passion and what you ultimately want to achieve, the impact you want to achieve. I think that's very important. You might not have like the perfect solution or the perfect business model to start with, but as long as you kind of have the North Star, goal or metric, and this is what you want to achieve, and you really gather and have a super strong team, just work against what you want to achieve, and you will find a way forward.
So persistence. I'll second that as well, and I'll add to that as well. And I say that I think you are 100% right, because I see many teams that are either tech-driven or very short-sightedly, too short-sightedly business-driven, and they sort of they follow the money, or they let their tech decide what they're going to do. And sometimes they lose track on what they were actually all about. They forget what the purpose was and why they actually started in the first place. And then they become this something of just, delivering a tech or like a large corporation that forgets its purpose. Yeah. So I think that's a very, very good example of, stay true to your initial, what you're trying to solve. And you'll be able to solve it in many different ways. I mean, I know that Klimato, for example, I mean, they've done so many pivots within tech and with how they're actually doing it. But the ultimate goal and what they're trying to solve has stayed the same all the time. Yeah. So, yeah. So what else? I mean, okay, of these, do you say 7 teams that you're in the sort of climate action? Any team worth mentioning? Whether some cool tech that's sort of trying to save the world that's worth mentioning?
I think all 7 of them are worth mentioning. So I mean, I wouldn't want to say, you know, this one is worth mentioning more than the others. I think they're all amazing, and there's quite the broad spread of different different approaches. I mean, there are several in the circular economy. There is in carbon sequestration and carbon offsetting. There is in circular recycling of EV batteries. There is, resource efficiency, logistics, how you can optimize logistics for e-commerce deliveries, etc., etc. I mean, there are so many.
Okay, pick one. Give me one example. Like, we don't have to cherry pick. We don't have to say it's better than anyone else. But I just want to hear.
I will mention. I mean, and the reason I will mention it because I'm a customer right now, or actually I'm a customer of several of them, I would say. But one that just launched this week or very recently is a company called Ihupa. And what they do, they actually, they have these sharing boxes that you can put in your neighborhood where all the kind of seldom used high capital goods that you usually have in your Friggebod and so on. Why should they stand there and collect dust? Why not share it with your neighbors? And they have a service for how to do that in a very smart way. And we actually right now they have got 4 of these boxes out there together with, collaborating with Husqvarna and others in filling them. And we have one here at Tranholmen where I live, and I've started using it, and I'm so excited about it. So that's one.
Well, I know that, and thank you for mentioning that one, because I mean that's a typical example of one of the ideas that has been sort of going around the community in this peer-to-peer products kind of thing, where they've been talking about it for so long, but nobody's come up with an actual working business-oriented solution to it yet. It's like, it's like when Spotify finally launched a subscription model that worked.
Yes.
There've been lots of trials and errors before, and I'm just so happy that you picked that example, because that's something that people have been talking about for so long. Why should I have a power drill that I use once per 3 years, just lying around when, so I mean, that's a great example.
And then the one time you need it, you still kind of maybe go to wherever and buy a cheap one, and then it's hangry because it's just the easiest solution, or it's too much of a hassle to go and try to rent it somewhere far away, or you borrow it from your neighbor, but it's now you can subscribe to this, and all the maintenance and everything is taken care of.
What were they called again?
Ihupa.
Ihupa, like Swedish together.
Ihupa, yeah, exactly.
Ihupa. Yeah. We're getting tons of comments and questions here. Most of the comments are, of course, they are compliments to you. Like Karin is a fantastic coach, and this one, Karin, we've been working. We've seen extremely amazing. Thanks for the event on, Karin. But we actually have a question here as well from here we go, from Henna. What kind of innovations are still missing? What kind of solutions would you like to see more of? Great question.
Oh, wow, Henna, don't put me on the spot. This is, and actually, before you interrupted me last time, Donny, what I was about to say is, the whole startup climate action team or climate action initiative, it's obviously not just me. I mean, there has been this absolutely fantastic team behind, the teamwork of Sting and Norsen to start with, but then we've had Henna has been on this team, and I think she has been, she's really a super climate champion as well, and so instrumental in making this whole startup climate action initiative happening. But back to your question, Henna, I think we need innovation in so many different areas. And I think taking on kind of the climate change or climate performance lenses and trying to find solution. I think, and then, also I think it's important, to measure. I mean, always measuring is always important, but if you really want to have a big climate impact, to try to early on to start say, what kind of impact could this have, and looking at the innovation also from that. So we really make sure we try to find the high impact and the scalable solutions and the scalable business models as well.
Scalable is a key word. I think that's really good as well, because no offense to small small solutions that do something in a small scale. That's all. Everything is good. All initiatives are good, but if we're going to really have a big impact, we need scalability. We need to be able to affect a lot of people, make big changes for big communities. So I think scalability is one really, really good one.
Unless you scale and unless you get the volume, you're not going to have any impact. So, and even if you have big volumes, but each unit maybe can be rather small impact, but if you have a lot of them, then it still could be a huge impact. So
I work with innovation on a daily basis, and I read, I have one comment from me. You read in the paper that people are saying that, oh, stop innovating. We need to go back. We need to cut down. But the thing is, people aren't going to want to move from something they know today to something that they feel is not as good. So the trick is to innovate better things that can achieve the same level of perception of good that people get, but for less impact, less pollution, less, so we need better ideas. We need to change the old things that aren't doing good and adding new stuff, and things like Europa and Klimato, what help cut down on both carbon footprints and consumption are good, but we also need new ideas for there's so much left to do.
There's so much left to do.
I know. Here's Priya here. Planbo is one of the 7 companies in the accelerator company. We have massively benefited from the program. Fantastic coaching, of course. Thank you, Karin. But what do you do? What do they do? What does Planbo do?
Planbo, I love the name Planbo. They plant bamboo. So, and bamboo is one of the fastest growing plants on Earth, and they actually sequester a lot of carbon along the way. So by planting bamboo and letting them grow over time, it can be a really great solution for carbon offsetting and carbon sequestration, and that's what they are doing and offering different services around that.
Have you had any experience with hemp? There's a lot of talk about hemp being this a good plant for different.
We had a couple of these ideas in the Startup Climate Action in the early phases. So yes, we've come across a few of them.
I think there's a huge stigma when it comes to hemp, because people keep on thinking it's only drugs, but it's not. Of course. Another question here from great coach from Marianne. Thank you very much again. It's just coming in. It says, Kate, how can startups amplify their voice and mission to get more people actively involved with their sustainability mission? That's a good question.
Yeah, that is a good question. To get more people actively involved with the sustainability mission. Yeah. Just be out there and drive the dialogue and be active and talk about your mission, and try to get on in media and be active in social media and try to engage yourself as a thought leader in different in your area of expertise. I think that's sorry. Yeah, go ahead, Donny.
No, I was just going to say that, if you're doing something truly good, if you're actually trying to solve an important problem, people will want to listen to you. They will support you. If you ask for help, you'll be surprised how helpful people actually are if you're doing something for a greater good, for an actual purpose. Yeah. So, just get the name out there, speak to somebody like Karin or me or whoever, and just work the networks.
And I think, I mean, now and over the last, I would just say like a year or two, this have just exploded. If you have an idea in this area that is, worth, I mean, there's so many opportunities to get exposure and to amplify the mission, as you say. So, just get out there and be confident.
Yeah, indeed. Let's see. Here, another one. Inyang, what are the challenges in creating efficient and stable teams to scale the business? We're getting into the... Okay, here you go. Varsågod.
Yeah, I mean, the team issue is always so critical for all startups and for all businesses. I mean, it's you really need to find a strong team. And actually looking at, it's team issues is the most common reason why actually startups fail. It's usually not because they have a bad idea. It's because, they can't, gather a top team, or they can't, it doesn't work out in the team, and that becomes a major challenge. And what are the challenges? I think you need to be extremely open and honest and clear about what your expectations are, and raise, if things start to, if you disagree, you need to be able to discuss that openly and respectfully, so
I mean, I agree, and I usually compare the whole startup and the whole team thing to, I mean, it's a relationship, right? I'm probably going to write a book one day about running a startup as being like a marriage, because you meet people and then you enter in relationship, and after 2 years you start sort of really having all of the conflicts of the toothbrush being in the wrong place, and everything that happens to a relationship after the 2-year thing. But it comes down to relationships, and it comes down to people that you actually want to spend time with. And I remember once I heard one of the Apple executives saying that, when you're looking for people to join your business, don't forget it's, you're in it for the long haul. It's a long-term thing. It's like we're talking 10 years here. We're talking 15 years. If you're going to build something for real, it's not a 1-year thing. It's not a course. It's a long thing. So make sure to find people that you feel that you can develop together with, and that you can relate to, but don't fall into the culture fit trap. So you only employ yourself. That's also a danger, I say. One more question before we have to go to the end of this. Earthbank, wonderful. Yes, I'd like to ask, what's the one most important thing you think is required when it comes to innovation and sustainability, based on your experience? The one most important thing is required when it comes to innovation and sustainability. Small question.
I mean, I think the one most important thing is to get started in the first place.
Yes. Thank you. That's
something, just get going.
Yes. So many people spend too much time talking about the great idea they're going to do one day. Just start it. Yes, just start it, for Christ's sake.
Yes.
And coming to the end of this, I mean, we could probably spend the rest of the afternoon together, me and you and all of the wonderful people online here. But I am so sorry, we only have the coffee break to go. So, ending off, as usual, we have Karin's top 3 tips. Today we have top 3 tips working with sustainability and for climate change, because this is Earth Week. Tomorrow is Earth Day. And so tip number 1 is...
Yes, commit to net zero right away. I think, what do I mean by this? As we just say, there are so many people that want to do things and they just think, oh, it's so difficult, there's so much things I need to change and so on. And I think one thing that anyone could start doing right away is actually offsetting your carbon. That doesn't replace that you should actually kind of change behavior or start doing what you can to reduce your carbon, but you need to do that as well. But I think, go out there and make sure you offset your carbon at least. Each one of us on average in Sweden, I think it's around 10 tons per year, more or less. So make sure you offset 10 tons per year. Yeah. That's what I mean by committing to net zero.
And that is
it's
also
not
a good.
it's very easy and it's not very costly, actually.
Good tip. Do more good than not only doing less bad. So yeah. Tip number 2.
Yeah, become an early adopter. And what I mean by that, I mean, there are so many amazing startups out there that are trying that they are providing solutions to improve or tackle climate change. And, they need customers. And it's so much fun to actually try out all these new solutions. Like we just talked about 2 of them, Klimato and Ihupa, but there are so many more. I mean, Planbo was here, just to mention, that came up here. Earth Bank was another one of the companies that we have in the accelerator right now. Jennifer from Loopit, she was also commenting here. I mean, go out there and try out all these amazing new solutions, and just to mention a few of them.
That's the best idea and suggestion I've heard all week so far. Become a creative customer. Become an innovative customer. If you can't come up with your own idea, then at least help the other ideas come out. That's fantastic. Yes. Thank you. And tip number 3 is?
Yes. I mean, you can look at, the climate change, of course. It's a huge challenge. It's a huge problem, but it's actually a huge opportunity as well. And from both a perspective and investor and so on perspective. So I would like to encourage everyone out there, you need to start looking into this. This is going to be the biggest opportunity for the next 10 years to come. So don't miss out. Don't miss out.
Don't miss out on this incredible business opportunity and saving the world at the same time.
Yes.
Of course. Karin, thank you so much for being a part of this wonderful coffee break. Thank you everyone for commenting, all of the comments. We can end with, no, let's do this just for fun's sake. We'll take them away. We'll go up to the comments again and we'll put, how about this? She's a great coach. Yeah, wow. That's a good idea.
Thank you so much, Donny, for having me. It's been wonderful. Bit of a change in this boring Corona times. And now I actually have my coffee here, but I haven't had a chance to drink it. Oh, you do too. So now it's time for our fika then
indeed. Cheers.
Yes.
And thanks everyone for commenting and being a part of the day today. Check it out on YouTube where the broadcast will be recorded. Bye for now.